You can safely say one of the most intense, one of the most physical matches we've ever seen, and certainly one of the greatest events that we've ever seen on Dynamite. And here's the winner of the Lights Out match, Thunder Rosa, who is more of a survivor than a winner. Congratulations, and I know you're very emotional about this night.
I am. This means everything for me. As you guys know, I come from nothing. And 7 months ago, I came here to make a statement. And that was to put women's wrestling on the map. And tonight, with blood, sweat, and tears, I just show you that women's wrestling should be valued everywhere. And I'm very, very proud of this.
Congratulations on your win. Ladies and gentlemen, Thunder Rosa, the winner of an incredible event.
We are back, All Elite family, for another exciting edition of the All Elite podcast. We just heard an incredible interview from Thunder Rosa after an amazing match. But before we jump into all that, AJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Been in talks to make a short film, so that's a thing that's going to be happening probably in the summer, and I'm excited about that and kind of been putting my focus on that. But how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Been busy. You know, like I speak about probably every week. Probably the only thing really relevant that I say is that I'm busy. But yeah, been real busy. Doing a lot of fun stuff related to my internship and my school stuff, but been keeping myself busy. Glad to do the podcast. Been doing a lot of interesting stuff for WrestleJoy, so if you want to catch one of those articles about someone like Fuego del Sol, the master of the Tornado DDT, make sure you head over to WrestleJoy and check that out. But otherwise, I haven't been up to a whole lot. I'm so excited to talk about this match. Normally we jump into the news and stuff, but we have to talk about this match, I feel like, before we get into anything, because it's kind of part of the news. All of wrestling, especially the AEW circle, but a lot of wrestling in general, have been sending some love for this match. So I want to know what you thought.
I thought this was amazing. Probably, and Meltzer said it, but I do think it's true. Probably one of the best women's matches in the United States ever. This was fantastic. To me, it's a 5-star match. I don't know about you, but we'll get there. I expected a main event quality match from Rosa and everything, but admittedly, I wasn't sure if Britt Baker could deliver that quality of a main event women's match, and she and her, both of them, over-delivered on my expectations of what I thought they were going to do. You know, like, we had them both getting color, Britt Baker especially, oh my God, and they really did the match justice. It wasn't just, you know, like a chair and a table. There were thumbtacks. There was blood.
We questioned it, right? Like, you know, sort of leading up to this match and everything. It was, well, you know, how will they go as hard as these matches generally are? And that's something I definitely internally thought, maybe more than we even expressed on the podcast. And it wasn't even to discredit them in any way, shape, or form. It was just like you don't naturally see that in women's wrestling, especially on televised women's wrestling. This was a crazy, crazy match. It wasn't necessarily as crazy as you can think back to the Young Bucks versus Candice LeRae and Joey Ryan. That match was a crazy match where a woman got destroyed and people thought, but this was very crazy in its own right with two very talented women doing incredible stuff throughout. I thought it was a very good story too. I loved this match.
This was up and down, just fantastic. Like, they nailed it. Right? The only the beginning crutch shot was weird. Like, that was weak, and everything else was great. There was nothing else to complain about. My only nitpick. There you go. It was fantastic. If this, like, I know we don't care about Meltzer stars, but I want it to get a 5-star match because it was groundbreaking. You don't see women do this in America. You've seen it in Japan, sure. You've seen it in Mexico, maybe. I don't know, but you really don't get this kind of hardcore match out of women in America. Not that I know of.
Yeah, to me, this match kind of checks all the boxes in terms of what you would call a 5-star match, and for that reason, and because they did where we got the interview to start the show off, they did like a post-match breakdown online on their social, and Britt was kind of talking about Meltzer, and she was saying, "Do you think that was a 5-star match from Meltzer?" And it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, like you could tell that talent at that level care to an extent. And you would hope, you know what I mean? So, and to me, and to a lot of fans and a lot of people around the world, it was. I imagine it probably will be. Meltzer might even do something like throw it 5.5, just because he really liked the story or something.
Yeah,
because it's in Jacksonville,
from what I heard,
it gets an extra 0.5 star, brother.
From what I heard, he really did love this match. Like, when I was listening to Wrestling Observer Radio, he was a very big fan of it. So I kind of expect it, and I feel like it's meaningful enough, the match itself, to deserve it.
Well, and he's not necessarily a wrestling purist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's sort of evolved with the times, you could say. And so I see him kind of enjoying this and liking it for what it was because it wasn't overly dangerous. That's where we have
No.
gotten Meltzer to kind of draw back on some of these matches. I feel like he's someone who will say this is the perfect level. You won't see talent going too far to try and break what this did, but you can see them try and replicate this. And this made 2 stars with them, so I was so excited about this. I thought it was really great. Tony Khan had mentioned after the match that this is sort of the future of the women's division. I mean, the biggest takeaway I have is I hope that they in some way will lock down Thunder Rosa for a long-term situation because. And maybe they already have. Who knows? No one really knows what the deal with her NWA contract was. At one point, it was speculated WWE had actually signed her up. So we don't. That's my biggest thing. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, but I will say after this match, either of these women, if you insert them into the main event, or with Hikaru Shida, if you give them a title match, I'm totally into it. Either of them doesn't matter because. My God, they both performed incredibly. So whoever they go with to face Hikaru Shida, I'm assuming Thunder Rosa, but we'll see. I mean, they've already done that anyway, so maybe Britt Baker makes more sense. And it doesn't count on their record, so it's not like you couldn't make sense out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would love to see Britt Baker go there personally, but I'm really excited to see where this develops.
Yeah, and I mean. Who knows? Maybe Rosa is kind of not going to be able to be used by AEW as much anyway because NWA is making its return in the next couple weeks. They do tend to tape longer at a time, but there still might be some type of conflict of interest. So, in theory, this could potentially be like some type of cool mutual send-off where it doesn't affect the records. Britt still looks like a badass from it. I don't think that this is the end of Rosa. I think we will see more of her, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see as much of her going forward. But at the same time, why would you book it in this way? So I don't know. It's just very confusing with NWA coming back, that's for sure, because she slotted into a #1 contenders match on their pay-per-view, I believe.
I will say one more positive thing about this, and then I'll shut up because I've said way too much. I do think Britt Baker is cemented, to me, not Nyla Rose, but her, as the heel ace of this company in the women's division.
I agree, but I feel like after something like this, they could even turn her babyface if they wanted to, if they wanted to introduce someone else or do something different.
But I like her with Rebel and everything.
I agree. I think you could sort of almost turn that whole thing now face where people like it. They like her so much and what she's done in this bad guy persona, and then this matchup itself, because so many people are singing the praises of Britt Baker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a face turn. I think she'll probably just destroy somebody next week or in the upcoming weeks.
I think so. That's what I hope, actually.
Yeah, well, I've just liked what she's done lately, so who knows? I wouldn't mind cheering for her, but I think that they absolutely did an amazing job with that show closing match. And then to me, it took me back to that main event of the pay-per-view where I was like, man, it made me like, this is how you close the show where you don't remember something like that. It was not a negative look at the pay-per-view. It was just like, wow, I've forgotten about that so much because of this amazing match. Like, they wiped out Kenny and Mox's match entirely.
Absolutely. When you put it that way, and I wasn't really thinking about it that way, but you're right. It's funny. Like, wrestling fans are fickle and they have short memories, and that's good for AEW with that match, with the exploding match, because everybody's talking about this now, and rightfully so. That it deserves to be talked about. This is a fantastic match, and it's going to go down in history. Honest to God, in my opinion, it's one of the better ones that we've seen women do in the United States.
I agree, and I think that there's just so much you could say good about it. Britt was amazing after the match. Tony Khan was like thanking her so much on that post-show recap thing they showed. He was just like, "Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much. Like, that was an amazing main event. We had a great show thanks to that event." Like, and you agree with him because that was a great match. So I think they did an amazing job. That's why we had to start off the show with it and give it its proper time because that match was amazing. So. Ethan Page has signed a 3-year deal with AEW. Nothing too crazy about this. It's cool to know that he's signed for an extended amount of time, especially because he wasn't featured this week, so he's got plenty of time to be featured, but that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't featured this week, but I don't think that means they're not going to feature him. I mean,
was he on Dark?
Well. I don't know. He might have been, now that you mention. He probably was, let's be honest, but I'm not sure.
I don't think so. That's why I'm saying. I mean, I feel like that's one that would have stood out to me when I was looking at the Dark match card. There were literally 30 matches for AEW between Monday and Tuesday, so I hope they don't keep that pace either, but if there were 30 matches plus Dynamite and we didn't get a single Ethan Page match, that's a little bit of a bummer, you know?
That is a bummer, and it's a little weird. I hope everything's good in that case, too.
I'm sure it's all fine, and it's like, to me, when I saw it, I was like, dang, that sucks. But at the same time, I was like, that's good. You're showing the talent. Like, even the new guys that get brought in, they're not immediately going to be featured every week unless it's maybe someone like Christian. So
Yeah.
Austin Gunn is releasing a hip hop album. I'm actually very excited to check this out. I want to give this a full length review when it comes
Are
out.
you gonna talk about it on Upstate Aesthetic?
No, but I am going to talk about it just in general because that's fun. Like, this could be fun, and he's had a fun little run with it. It's kind of goofy, but he very much fits that John Cena like right around WrestleMania 19 gimmick of like just white rapper, and it's kind of fun.
Okay, wait. When it comes out, let's do an Upstate Aesthetic, you and me on here, just for like
and
5 minutes.
and review it, like play a
Yeah.
song and review it. All right, sounds good. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm not legitimately like crazy excited for this, but this is cool. It's very smart for him
fun.
to do something outside of the realm of just what is being typically done, of like maybe not streaming, maybe not vlogging, maybe not doing your YouTube series, but he's got these videos. He's done some hip hop video releases and now an album. So I'm gonna give
Max
it some time.
Caster should jump on this train too.
His are awful though.
Yeah, I know, but like it should be like Jillian's album, you know?
He to me is the John Cena version. Like, okay, so I've referenced the John Cena rapper already. So this is the real heel version, but turned up times 10. That's Max Caster, and then you have Austin Gunn, who's much more the babyface, likable version. Where I feel like it's almost interesting to have both of those dynamics on the same roster.
Yeah, actually it is.
Some notes from AEW Dark. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss have been teasing a split. I don't know if you saw that, AJ, but at the end of their match, these two, Joey was pretty mad that he had lost, and started yelling at Sonny Kiss, and then had apologized for it. It was very like strange. It wasn't very well done. But
I know, okay, it wasn't well done. I didn't see it. I'm not gonna say it was. What I am gonna say is Janela should be a heel. Like at this stage, I think he needs to be a heel.
I agree. I like where it could go. I like that there could be a story out of it. Because I had to watch Dark after it had aired, so I saw this teased. It's almost something that made me tune into Dark. And when I saw it in action, it wasn't as exciting as I had thought it would be. But it wasn't horrible. It's just Joey translates very strange to the live mic.
Yes.
Because when he can just be Joey on GCW and on commentary, and
It's
even
fine.
some of his promo packages and stuff, it's been great at sometimes, amazing. Like those video packages were something that sold you on him early.
Oh yeah.
And so these moments just aren't as great as I guess you would expect from someone who had been that great in those positions. But that's not to say he's awful.
He's not awful. It doesn't always feel very believable. It feels like he's really putting on a persona, and it's not sounding natural. And I don't know why that is, because when he does, like you said, when he is being himself, he sounds great and he sounds believable, and he seems like a guy you want to root for.
That's a great way to put it.
My other thing with Joey Janela, though, the reason I want him to be heel is because everybody fucking hates him so much except you and me. So, like, just make him heel.
I agree with that, but he needs to then be, like, the heel who shits on the fans rather than his teammate, because that's where you're right. Like, I know that it's not as believable because he just doesn't actually feel that way towards Sonny Kiss. So when he's saying it, it's just very hard to believe. He can't put on the extra oomph for it. But when it is something he believes, it was the same with the Kip Sabian thing, where he just genuinely wasn't upset with Penelope. I don't think, and I don't know his life, but based upon how he
feel like it was very amicable. If they're gonna do an angle in AEW, I feel like AEW wouldn't do the angle if that was the case.
Well, and maybe they would, but if they kind of had to drop it because you just didn't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, so maybe he did have a big issue with it, but it didn't seem like it. And it's sort of the same thing with this Sonny Kiss thing. But I love Joey, and you're right. He probably would be better fit as a heel, but that's where something like this is confusing, because he was mad about losing and mad at Sonny Kiss, and then at the end he was like, I'm sorry, you're my friend. But they can still spin it the right way. But it just didn't come off the greatest. Then we had Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. They teased actually what happened on Dynamite on Dark. So if you had tuned into Dark, you kind of got the foreshadowing of that, which was pretty cool. It was a good little segment. Or there was a match actually where Ricky Starks picked up the pinfall victory. Cage was a little bit upset about this because it was a blind tag. So. Negative one is very fun to watch with Tay Conti. He's fun to watch with other talent and I feel like Tay is great, but having him as like that extra kid, because he's basically on the ramp, just like doing every move that either gets done or that Tay does, and it just adds so much to her matches because I don't know why. It doesn't necessarily add a lot to.
Well,
some
it
of
sounds
the other,
adorable. I feel like that's the answer.
You're right, 100%. It's adorable and it fits perfect with Tay. So. SCU has also continued their win streak on Dark. This is a strange storyline to me though because it's only occurred on Dark. I like that to an extent, but I wonder if it maybe pays off with them aligning with Scorpio and we have another heel group. But that would also be kind of strange to me, no?
I feel like if they did that, then you surely would want to put SCU on Dynamite.
Yeah, well, but to me that's just a lot of heel groups. So at that point, I just have no idea where this is going. And maybe it just lasts like a whole year. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind that.
Maybe because it's just like two separate things. I really don't know.
Well, no, I think that it probably is two separate things, but it doesn't feel like there's a payoff to this. Because the Bucks are currently very much entrenched in being baby faces at this point. We'll get to that, but it seems like they're not necessarily going the heel route we might have anticipated before. So where do they fit into a tag team title match with SCU? We'll have to see.
Yeah, because it seems like the Young Bucks are in line for quite a few matches.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think this win streak might just be something that actually happens on Dark for maybe like 6 months before they finally are like, holy shit, we've been winning every time on Dark and you guys don't give us anything. So we'll see. With relation to the news and Tuesday nights, Kenny Omega will be appearing on Impact on next Tuesday's episode alongside Don Callis. So I really don't have a whole lot to take away from that. I noticed that they didn't really get a big uptick this week where people thought there might be some Kenny Omega involvement, but now we have it confirmed, so maybe that will push their rating a little bit higher.
A little bit, yeah. But I feel like the first time Kenny went on Impact, it was a bigger deal because everybody was so like in the dark. Like, is it going to be a company war? Like, what's going on? Now that we know it's more of just like Kenny collecting belts, I feel like you're not as hyped because it's not like a whole.
You just know you don't have to really tune into it as much because it's not.
Yeah,
it's not must see. You know when his pay-per-view match is coming. You know that's probably going to be one of his general only matches on Impact. He probably won't wrestle actually on the TV show very much. So. Yeah, just based on that, I still am intrigued by it, and I like the relationship and everything, and it's cool that AEW lets him perform over there as much as they have up to this point, because that's good. That's good for business. So it doesn't really hurt anything, obviously.
I love Kenny and Impact. I love that what Impact's doing right now. I think it's great.
It's very interesting that AEW does a much better number with Dark, like live viewers tuned into Dark, than Impact does on Tuesday nights, even when Kenny is on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
it might be a YouTube Twitch thing, like that could very well be it, but
that's about what I was gonna say.
So, yeah, that's cool. That's not it for the news because we got to report on the ratings a little bit.
That's
AEW
right.
Picking up another AE dub over NXT with 768,000 people tuned in this week. NXT dropping down to 597,000. So that number decreasing, and they've already been reporting that they're going to Tuesdays, but the numbers going down isn't going to keep them on Wednesdays at all. So I'm glad that they'll be on Tuesdays. Their number might go up a little bit.
It will definitely go up. I'll tune in. Yeah, fuck yeah.
I honestly don't know for sure because I'll be I want to watch Dark and stuff. So if I'm gonna watch wrestling, honestly, it might just be Dark. I might catch NXT more often though. If there's a cool match
between the three.
If there's a cool match announced, I got 3 screens. I could figure it out. So
like Impact, I can have on Twitch. I can have Dark on YouTube, and then I can watch NXT on TV. It works out for me. But so whenever something's boring, I can just
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think that they'll go rolling into Tuesdays pretty well, coming off of the 2 takeovers and all of that, and probably new talent rolling in after WrestleMania and stuff like that. So we're obviously not an NXT-centric podcast, but they will likely be going to Tuesdays. AEW doing well, another 768,000, very interesting. The number right now, we had seen it kind of go up for a while. Now we've seen it sort of stay consistent in the 760 to 800,000 range. We'll see if they can pick up some momentum going forward. I really don't have a whole lot on the ratings, so.
Yeah, me neither, but I'm sure they will. And also, it's not a bad rating, so it's
No.
not really a
Well, and
problem.
that's why I have essentially nothing to say about it. It's just like another regular rating. Sometimes they pop a really great one, and we haven't really seen them hit lows, kind of like NXT did this week. And NXT kind of was in the same range. That's why this one is more of a surprising number for them. So
And I will totally believe that the ratings will go up pretty high once NXT does move to Tuesday for both shows.
I hope. I think people are programmed for Wednesdays, so AEW
Yeah,
will
very true.
will very quickly see a bump, and I think that NXT will see a bump to where AEW is. I think it'll be very cool if AEW can be in a position where they're sitting at like 900,000 a week. It'll also
Yeah.
be very interesting if AEW doesn't really see much of an uptick at all.
Hmm.
That would be very telling, I think, to the loyalty of the WWE audience. Because if I'm an NXT fan, I would be kind of pumped at the idea of just like, well, now I get to watch AEW.
Yeah.
It works for all those guys who got to report on those shows too. I'm sure those guys are hyped.
Hmm.
I see them all on the different sites talking about they got to switch days so they can do AEW. So, all right, let's talk about AEW this week. We had the kickoff. They kicked off Dynamite with a real hot match with Penta versus Cody. Penta
Yeah.
had a bit of a promo going on during his entrance. This was a really good match, and I like the fact that they have Alex still with Penta because that's a cool little duo.
I love Alex Abrahantes because he doesn't just like do the translation thing, you know. He also says it like while he's really happy. He's
Hmm.
always really happy. He's like, Penta says you fucking suck, and it's
Yeah.
great. And I
It,
love
it
it every time.
It definitely is. So that was good. The match itself was really great. This is a solid split crowd for this one too.
Yeah.
Primarily for Cody, but Penta definitely had people cheering for him. The match
Hmm.
ends with the arm breaker, but then Cody ends up getting a roll up victory. This was kind of surprising to me. Didn't love the finish there, especially because they did the arm breaker. You don't have to do that spot leading into the roll
Yeah.
up. I would
Yeah,
have.
I didn't like the flash victory. It wasn't what I would have done. I would have preferred if he like hit him with the crossroads or tapped him out or something. Well, I don't want him to tap out Penta, but you know what I mean.
I don't
Anything
mind. I
that's
don't
a
mind
significant
the
finish.
roll up victory here because it like it leaves a lot to it. It's just the fact that
Oh
his
no, I
arm was
agree.
literally just
Like,
destroyed, and then you have him do a roll up. It's like I'm not
yeah.
gonna believe Penta can't get out of that, man. So that's my only negative takeaway from that. The attack post match was great. I would have loved if the arm breaker was saved for the post match. Like that.
I
That's
yeah that yeah I you took the words out of my fucking mouth. I was actually talking to our boy Phil while I was watching this match, and I was like so mad. I was like, do the thing, do the arm breaker. What the fuck?
yeah. It was just a strange way of lining up those events, but otherwise I'm excited about the feud, so I can't really complain.
Oh
Post
yeah.
match, Dustin comes to make the save, and the Gun Club. So again,
Hmm.
the Gun Club making moves this week. They make the
Marshall,
save, send
very
Penta
late.
on his way. QT was very late. This was very just disappointing from our boy. I actually loved it, but
Yeah.
it's cool how they're building this. It's gonna do a lot for QT. I hope.
Yeah.
He's in a thick heel division now with just everything that they've got going on with the
Hmm.
Pinnacle and other wrestlers, but he could do well for himself right now for sure. Definitely in a better
I
spot
think
than he
so.
was 6 months ago.
For sure. Like he doesn't have to be at the top of the card, you know. He doesn't. He can be. He could as long as he has a presence. I really do enjoy seeing him.
Him versus Dustin could be a cool little feud too, like leading
Yeah.
into maybe even the next pay per view. It could be a decent little early match on the card, depending on
Yeah,
how
for
they build
sure.
it.
I really like that AEW cycles through guys. Like, you know, they're not going to use you all the time, but your time will come that
Yeah.
they're going to give you a program or a shot.
Yeah, and it just feels good for him right now. And that's I'm biased for sure because I've tuned into the Sammy Guevara vlog, so I just have a lot more of an enjoyment for him right now. But yeah, I think it's great. They follow this up with the Young Bucks promo. They're promoing on Phoenix and Pac. They talk up how Phoenix has actually pinned both of them in singles victories over the last year, which I had technically forgotten about.
I
They
did
say
too.
fortunately they're the tag team champions though, and then Don Callis shows up. He offers them a very goofy shirt. We
A
don't have
terrible
to.
shirt
We
to
don't.
do on
We
TV.
don't have to poke fun at WWE on every single thing they do that's
No,
stupid.
it's not even that. It's like don't like do that on BTE. Like, don't do that here though. Like, cause like, don't do the talk about leg slapping. You think I knew what a leg slap was when I was 12? No,
So
I
they
thought
still
it made
don't
a
know.
sound.
Come on, Jim Cornette. You need
I
to
know, but
relax.
like, don't do it on TV. That's all I mean. Do it on BTE. That's fun. I didn't think it wasn't funny. It was funny. Just don't do it here.
I just didn't think it was funny. So that's my bigger takeaway. I'm not necessarily saying they're killing the business by showing it on television. I just think
I don't
that
think they're killing the business. I just think like, why do it?
that's where I'm at. It's like it's just very silly. But it's Don Callis, so he's supposed to be a heel. So maybe that's the idea. It gets heat.
Yeah.
Kenny, he goes on to say that Kenny's the god there in the basement. They're not really cut out to be what he is. So this was a solid promo. What do you think of this?
I really like this promo, and I thought it set up what we're gonna see later pretty well. And Don Callis is such a carny asshole, and he's just like such a scumbag. It works so well, even like because I know like a lot of people aren't high on the Young Bucks. You know, they think they're too flippy or they just don't like them or whatever. But like even compared to Don Callis, everybody likes the Young Bucks compared to Don Callis.
Yeah, for sure. And that's probably, you're probably right. What a good way to set that up. They've done well with this. Jade Cargill got her debut singles match. This was a very quick, easy win. She had a nice little German suplex, damn near threw her opponent out of the ring.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was nice. I don't know if it was actually. She almost killed her, dude. Oh my god, that was great. She did like 3 moves and won, and that's all she needed to do, and it was great.
Yeah, post-match, she had a little bit of a argument with Red Velvet, so they're continuing that, and that makes sense for kind of both of them. Gives her an opportunity to prove herself over Red Velvet, who she's already beaten in tag team competition. So I think this was great. Really solid, well-done segment.
Jade Cargill is. I just want to say Jade Cargill has so much potential, and I'm glad they're using it the way they are. Second match, I get it. So you want to have her just do squash matches? Makes sense.
And when I watched it, I was like, no shit, man. I was like that. We were talking about this match the other day, like, oh, we hope she delivers, da 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 da. And then it's literally just a singles squash. So it's like, no shit, no, duh, like duh. That's how you book that. We're just not necessarily used to seeing matches like this in AEW, which makes them even better. We got the Pinnacle segment, another really great segment. They talked about, prior to even getting the Pinnacle out here, they're replaying some of the stuff that went down last week, and Excalibur's talking about how they've been orchestrating the betrayal of Chris Jericho for months. They talk about how they were gambling in the crowd. So a bunch of stuff that we've talked about on social media was referenced on AEW, which is just fun. Like, it's cool to see that. You don't see that in WWE all the time.
No, for sure. It adds a lot of depth to it. I think that's nice.
Yeah, totally started off the promo saying that they're the baddest group. They're at the pinnacle of the sport. He started his career with the greatest group, and he's going to end his career with the greatest group. He then hands the mic off to MJF. He says he's Judas now. He's pretending like Chris Jericho. He said pretending to like Chris Jericho wasn't a walk in the park, something that Jericho should do more of. Just tears apart Jericho for a minute.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. Then he tears apart Jericho like he tore apart his pecs. So he hyped up the group. He talks about Wardlow, Spears, FTR, makes everybody look good. He talks about how he's the most talked about wrestler in the world today. He's unstoppable on the mic. He still has 25 years in the tank. He's better than you and you know it. And then they do a big Pinnacle hug at the end. This was solid. It wasn't necessarily like the most amazing promo, I guess.
You don't think?
It was
thought
really.
MJF killed it.
No, I think he did a really great job. I just think when he doesn't have to necessarily talk about himself and 5 other guys and make everybody sound good by himself in 5 minutes, it's much better. When he's able to just run down an opponent and destroy an opponent. Like this was not bad. It's just because MJF is so great.
I thought he did such a good job hyping these guys up and cementing this as a group.
He
that
made
I thought
Shawn
this
Spears
was one
sound almost cool to me. Like, I don't want to say I like him, but
like I'm saying, I think I was under the impression, like, for me, this was like one of his better promos for me, and that I've seen.
It was a great promo. It's just MJF though. So I feel like when he doesn't have to just sit there and when he can talk about himself or his opponent for 5 minutes, I don't know. You're right. I'm just looking for a nitpicky thing there. But it was a great promo. It was really solid. The Pinnacle looks great. Like I said, Shawn Spears even sounded great to me by the explanation from MJF. So they did a solid job here.
Yeah, I love this. Up and down. I'm excited for what the Pinnacle's going to do. I know we got a lot of heel teams. I know we got a lot of heels going around, but I think it's all really going to work out, and I think they know what they're doing here.
Oh well, they're definitely going to be the top guys, and MJF is going to be great for a long time to come. And this promo told me that. So you're right. This promo was amazing. Let's talk about the next match they had. Jurassic Express teaming up with Bear Country to take on Matt Hardy, Private Party, and what's their name? What's their name, brother?
Butcher and Blade.
Butcher and the Blade. There we go. Yeah, the Butcher and the Blade. Matt Hardy promos explains why the Butcher and the Blade left Eddie. He talks about how he's building an empire, not building a brand. The match itself was all right. Bear Country and Jurassic Express have their issues throughout the match. Then a tag mix-up leads to Marco tagging himself in, which is the biggest mistake of all time because Marco just standing next to Private Party, like they looked like Bear Country at that point. They go for gin and juice. Marco tries to fight him off for a minute. Matt Hardy over on the apron beats up Marco. They hit the gin and juice. Matt Hardy calls for the tag. Of course, they give him the tag and they win. It was a solid match. I like the story. The post-match argument between Jurassic Express and Bear Country was fun, and Matt Hardy was very excited to get his victory. So this match wasn't like a home run match quality, but what they're building from it is okay. Interesting that Bear Country is getting a feud with Jurassic Express.
That's what I was gonna say, because it's like they haven't. Okay, so like Top Flight were featured on TV, and so were Bowens and Castor. These guys were featured on TV, and then if you had put them into an angle, I know they're out of commission right now, but if they were in this position, that would make a lot more sense to me because they've been established on TV for the audience.
It would, but they don't want to beat the Top Flight team or the
Sure.
Acclaim.
I just mean like, why shouldn't Bear Country have had a little more time on TV to like?
Yes and no. I mean, they've been established for the last couple of weeks now. Like we know who they are, and they've had some good wins on Dark. They've done some good stuff on Dynamite. They were featured in the Battle Royal. I'm not totally against it. I don't think they're going to win the feud, so that's why I'm not as against it as I might have been initially.
Sure.
It's fine. I think Jurassic Express picks up the victory throughout all this, and Bear Country just becomes kind of what we had looked at Janela and Sunny Kiss as becoming, as like a team who wins sometimes, so that way when they lose to a good team, the good team looks better.
I also about this match. I agree, by the way, but also about this match, I heard something, and maybe you know more than I do, on the social medias that Marco's stunt nearly died, and Butcher caught him and saved him because he did a huge bump or like a huge dive outside of the ring, and almost nobody was gonna catch him, and Butcher caught him.
I missed it, but shout out to the Butcher. That's our boy. He's a good guy. So I'm excited to hear that. Glad Marco's okay. I missed that part though. I missed it. Probably I haven't been on the social medias as much either. So. We got a Moxie and Kingston promo. This was solid. Mox says he isn't feeling good, should be on a beach. And I took that as honestly he might not be on television if the explosion happened as it was supposed to, but because it didn't, he's back on TV. He talks about how he has to fix the real problem. Kingston says that it's the Good Brothers. Everybody loves the Good Brothers except them. They say that he wasted his money on talking Shopomania. That was fun. They joke on the Bullet Club compared to the NWO. They say this isn't Tokyo, this isn't the Impact Zone, it's their home, and cowards die 1,000 deaths. So these guys were solid. This was great. Nothing
Great
amazing,
promo.
but it was great.
They joked it up in the beginning, and then Eddie got serious. I love that. I love it when Eddie can kind of flip that switch. I thought this was really solid. I like the Talkin' Sopomania jabs and the NWO jabs because the Bullet Club for the past, I don't know, what, 7-8 years have seemed like such a dynasty in wrestling that it's fun to get reminded that you can knock them down a peg by just going, oh yeah, NWO.
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. After that, we get Christian backstage with Dasha. He says that he gets asked a question, no sells it for a second. He says he makes wrestling better. He makes wrestlers better. He says he's not a workhorse, he's the workhorse. And if you forgot who he was, he's going to show you who he was. If you're worried about him being there to take your spot, you don't have to worry. He's only there to take Kenny's spot. He knows he's got some wins under his belt, but he's here for Kenny, and he needs to get some wins under his belt, but he's here for Kenny, and he's here to cement his legacy and outwork everyone.
Yeah, that's a big claim. Okay, so I'll say this. Listen, if Christian can come into this company and outwork everyone, I'm on Team Christian all the way because that would be a very fucking impressive feat. I don't know if he's gonna, but likely he's earned my respect enough for me to definitely give him a chance to prove that true. So you know what, Andrew? I will. If he can go in and do some crazy match and be a total workhorse and do it all and still be as good as he was 20 years ago, fuck yeah, go Christian.
Yeah, I'll have to see it to believe it first, but it sounds good in theory, so we'll see. I think, and I don't see any reason to disbelieve it. It's just been a while, so we'll have to see. We then get the next match, Eddie Kingston on his way out and is jumped by the Good Brothers. Moxley makes the save. They end up having a decent little back and forth match. Obviously, Moxley and Kingston picking up the victory, but that just pisses off the Good Brothers. They assault everybody post-match. Kenny Omega makes an amazing entrance. He brings out a chair. Kingston tries to make the save, ends up getting his leg broken for his effort. They try to do the same thing to Moxley's neck, and the Young Bucks are the ones who make the save. What'd you think about that?
Dude, it was great. Moxley, like, I love the fact that number one, when Moxley was down and the chair was like, he was on the chair, that Eddie Kingston did come in and knock him down, and like, he's not going to stop fighting. I love that.
It showed he's still a badass, bro. That's all.
Yeah, like he's like what he was saying in the promo. He's a soldier. He's not going to stop until you take him out. And I love that. Moreover, Young Bucks coming out, that I'm not trying to bury the lead, I just wanted to add that. Young Bucks coming out and being the antagonist here, stopping them from doing something insane to Moxley. You're ever going to Pillmanize his neck? I mean, oh my God, you can't. You're going to kill him. That's wrestling kayfabe death. So yeah, I was like, that's really cool. I'm guessing this leads to Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. We also have Penta.
What's better lead to Kenny Phoenix versus Matt, bro? He did the too sweet in his face.
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues where this is going to go, and I'm very excited to see it. Especially me
swerved
being a
in
Young
the long
Bucks
run.
fan.
They might still.
It's the Bullet Club, of course. It could be a swerve. We don't know. But for me, as a Young Bucks fan, you know,
you're not a Young Bucks fan. We hate the Young Bucks.
You hate the Young Bucks, sir. You hate the Young Bucks. I have always loved the Young Bucks.
Well, I will say I don't hate them anymore. This segment sold me on them quite a bit, actually. So I'm excited to see where they go with this. It's cool to see, because in the moment I was like, holy shit, we're gonna have two like dominant heel factions. Like, this is insane. And Matt Hardy's little baby faction. So I was like, this is a lot to take in. And then when they didn't turn and they sort of stayed babyface, I was like, oh, okay, I really actually enjoy this. I like that these guys are doing this. This could be really good for them, even though they're goofy as hell sometimes. Like, this is great. I'm glad that they saved Mox. It was cool that Mox kind of reacted to being saved by them as well. So good stuff.
I like that too.
Followed it up with a Darby and Sting interview by Tony Schiavone, and this segment was another one that it was awkward as hell to me, honestly.
It was too much. It was just too much. That's
too much, for sure. Well, yeah, too much that didn't go perfect. And it's not to say any of it was bad. It was just too much, like, mid-level promo work, in my opinion. We have Darby cutting a promo, which wasn't bad. He takes exception to his lack of defenses, so he offers an open challenge to any member of the Dark Order.
I want to add a caveat that maybe the Darby Allin promo, not his fault, was a little bad. Not his fault, because number one, he comes out and says he's gonna pay homage, or first of all, he says he's had 3 title defenses, and everybody's like, yeah, 3 title defenses. He's like, that's not good. And then after that, he's like, and now I'm gonna pay homage to the best TNT champion, and half the fans are chanting Cody and the other half are chanting Brody, and I'm just like, maybe it's just that we haven't had fans in a while, but the fans need to get on their game. This is fucking sloppy, guys.
And that wasn't the whole of this. That was kind of sloppy.
No,
I mean, he gets interrupted by Jake the Snake and Archer, who once again just when it's Archer by himself, it's not a great promo, and then Jake the Snake takes the mic from him, and the first thing he's talking about is how Darby's a weenie boy and he left his buns backstage. I was like, what did he say? And then he repeated it, and I was like, what did he say? And then he called him a weenie, and I was like, why did he say that? Yeah, it was a strange segment, but
Jake is very strange. I remember the time he ripped off his shirt and it just said everybody dies. I don't know, man. Maybe he's just crazy.
Yeah, well, I think he is crazy. They're both kind of crazy. And Archer wasn't horrible. I don't want to say any of this was horrible. It just wasn't.
Just fine.
It was kind of akin to the fact of the crowd just wasn't playing along. Everything just kind of seemed out of left field from the get-go. Because then they left and Team Taz comes out. This was so.
They didn't even leave. They were still there, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think they were walking away. I'm pretty sure they were walking away. I might be wrong, though.
I don't know.
Taz comes out. He starts saying something, and then Brian Cage just rips the mic out of his hand and is like, Sting, you're the greatest wrestler in the whole world. I fucking love you. Like, it's not exactly what he said, but at some point he says Ricky Starks was wrong. He was an icon. Like, it was so weird.
I respect you, Booker Man.
I'm glad that he at least was like, Darby, none of this has anything to do with you. This is all for Sting. And at first I thought he was about to get himself in a feud with Sting, but it sounds like he wants to take Darby's spot as Sting's little buddy.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna
What if
be
he
a
comes
Lance
out in
Archer.
Sting face paint next week?
No, that's not going to happen, or God, I hope not.
Wouldn't that be
I
awesome? Like someone Brian Cage's size just comes out dressed as Sting next week. Like he just becomes a Sting super fan, like Stan. Just like, oh man, I just want to be this. He just starts every match. He starts doing Sting moves.
I'm pretty sure they're using him to be the antagonist to Lance Archer, or protagonist, I should say, because Lance Archer is a big person, and so is Brian
So
Cage.
Cage will be the one to make the save for Archer.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. But what if when he comes to make
What
a
if he was
save,
Sting?
he
Yeah,
comes
I'm
from
into it.
he comes from the rafters wearing the trench coat and a bat, and he has a Sting face paint,
Uh-huh.
and then he just does Brian Cage moves. That would be lit.
That would I'm like, yeah, if you just like watched The Crow and got all hyped up, sure, I'm down with it.
Like he just bought the WWE network and started watching WCW 1995, and it's like, oh my god, I freaking love this dude.
It's 1996, sir.
All right, sorry, dude. I knew I was gonna miss it by a year, but no, I think this was not a fun segment. This was a strange segment, but I'm curious to see where it goes. I love that Ricky Starks will hopefully become sort of the focal point of Team Taz, because
Yeah.
I mean I really liked Team Taz. That's kind of why I'm bitter about this the most.
I do too.
Is because I think that they're a good group. I think that it works really well with Cage to be a part of it, and maybe they don't split him away. Maybe this is just a storyline where he feels like he's splitting away. But again, there's a lot of good heel factions in AEW right now where it doesn't kill them to sort of bring Team Taz down a notch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. If ever there were a time to do something like that, it's now. And Brian Cage also, matter of factly, works great as a face.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. He's not someone I could complain about as a babyface necessarily at all, because like his promo work isn't amazing, but he's a better promo I even feel like as a face than a heel. So
I think so too.
I think it'll be a good little story, whatever they do there. I think it will be really cool if we get like a Ricky versus Brian story, but that I don't think that fares well for Ricky Starks. But I do think that it does make sense with their heel groups situation, and you want Team Taz to almost be one of those top two heel groups. If the Cage is a part of it. Now, if Cage isn't a part of it, that's not to even dog on Ricky Starks in any way, shape, or form, because he can elevate that group to, again, in 6 months, 8 months, being at that level of top tier type group. And you already have what's his name with him? Will Hobbs. He's huge.
Hobbs,
you know what I mean?
I was thinking Hook, and then I was like, you know me and Hook.
I don't mean Hook, but you never know. Maybe Hook's about ready to start wrestling too. So. We'll see. I'm not against any of it. The promo itself, though, or the segment, I should say, overall, you were right. It was a lot going on, and almost from the get-go, it was sort of derailed. So
Yeah.
we then got a solid little Scorpio Sky promo. He's talking about how he wanted to be the face of AEW. They don't want him. They want the Codys. They want the Darbys. They want the Stings. He failed. They failed, and he's the exception to Nice Guy. Or he wanted to be the exception to Nice Guys finish last. There we go. And he failed at that. So.
Yeah. I like it. I think it makes sense, and I think it's basically what we wanted out of it, what we were talking about. Like, he works perfectly as that mid-card face, but like if he wants to ascend, then he has to start playing dirty. He has to heal it up, and he has to like really become a big guy, like a character you can hate.
And if he does it good enough, people will just start liking him again. Like it's what happened with Britt Baker. So I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen with him. So. Yeah, there's nothing crazy about it. Like, it wasn't the best promo I've ever heard, but it probably was the best Scorpio Sky promo I've ever heard.
That's true, and I honestly, I'm just a sucker for these little hype videos.
I love vignettes and stuff like that. So, Phoenix picking up a win over Angelico. Wasn't a whole lot. Like, the match was great because Phoenix is great. It was really solid. There just wasn't a whole lot of story to it, so it's like an extended squash match, essentially. So
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it was fun. They did a lot of cool spots, but like it was, like you said, basically a glorified squash
Phoenix
match.
matches are great, and this is in a Phoenix squash. You would rather see it go 7-8 minutes. To even 10 and possibly where he's giving a little bit to then continue doing all the cool shit that he can do. So I'm not dogging on it at all. It's just like when you know who's going to win, it's like, okay.
Can I say also, now that he's done it twice in a row, I love that knee thing and then the pile driver as a finisher. I love that. That's so good.
It is indeed. And post match, I thought it was really fun when Pac just slides in the ring and just starts shitting on Angelico.
Yeah.
And the funny thing when I thought about it was he might not even be shitting on him. He might just be saying something, but obviously the vision is like it's supposed to look like he's shitting on him, but he could easily just be like, haha. Like, you know what I mean? Like you imagine wrestlers could say whatever they want in that point. So, yeah. Miro then cuts a promo. This was a solid little promo too, because he's asked if they want to do that match that Chuck Taylor had challenged him to. He says no, he's moved on. And Kip immediately interrupts him. He's like, "Hey, I haven't moved on. They ruined my wedding, and you pushed Orange Cassidy into my wife. Like, you haven't even apologized. You're supposed to care because she's hurt now." Miro says that he's hurt as well because the worst thing you can do for your career is have your wife at ringside. He says when the bell rings, he doesn't care about Kip or anything but his destiny to become world champion. And he walks off, and Marvez asks if they accept, and Kip accepts the tag match on behalf of Miro. I hope this leads to Miro freaking destroying Kip.
I'm sure it will. I don't see any other avenue than this is where Miro and Kip split up, which I don't know what that means for Kip in the long run. I'm guessing he's not going to be flying high, but it will mean Miro will be, and I'm excited for that.
Yep, they could play that out a little bit longer, but it just seems like Miro very much said he had moved on. Nothing about what he had said explained to me that he would want to do this match. Like, so for Kip to have accepted it after that, like, I feel like Miro should be annoyed about it and might destroy Kip, but we will see. We'll see,
yeah.
And it was also cool that Miro was like, hey, when we're in the ring, this is what I feel, but outside of the ring, like, I care about you, because it did, like, obviously he's still, like, I don't know. It was a good little promo. So
it was a good promo. There was a lot of nuance to it. I think that's what you're trying to get at, and it works well on a few levels. And I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah. We then go backstage with the Dark Order. They're trying to find out who's accepting the challenge to Darby Allin's championship, and -1 says he will, and that's some bullshit because Player Uno says no. Well, and that's the bullshit, is that Player Uno says no. Uno says that he's only maybe in 10 years, and that's fair enough, but still. Then they have to figure out who it's going to be. Most of the Dark Order start to raise their hand, but Alex Reynolds looks over and says, well, what about John? The rest are a bit perplexed at this, but in seconds are all behind it. So I thought that was a great segment. Like Colt Cabana, everybody was raising their hand. At first they're like annoyed, and then seconds later are like, yeah, fuck it.
Johnny Hungy.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the match, so I don't expect him to win it all, but it should be a great match. That one should be an extended squash.
I wouldn't even care if he did win. He's not going to, but I wouldn't even care because John Silver's based as hell. He's great in the ring, and he's hilarious and charismatic.
Yeah, well, and it's a good way to continue showing people that, you know, with this open challenge, the group agreeing, the group being happy for him getting this opportunity, the match will probably be really good. There'll be some near falls. He'll look great. I'm excited for it.
For sure.
We get a short segment with MJF and the Pinnacle taking over Jericho's locker room as they had promised doing earlier in the show. A little, again, nuanced thing that I kind of liked. I thought this was cool. It just shows, you know, the Pinnacle is here. Jericho and his group obviously nowhere to be seen this week, which I also like that because it makes sense. Like, and it's not even like they were injured type thing, but you just know, like, you're going to take time to decide how you want to address this.
Mm-hmm. So. Like how you play it out and how you're going to plan and think things over.
Yeah, well, like, and even from a storyline perspective for the Inner Circle, like, we're going to watch and see what they do, and we'll respond in a week. You know, we're not just going to jump out there to get beat the shit out of again. We'll wait and see, so. And then the lights out main event, man. And we talked about it at the top of the show, but it was a great match. At points, Jade Cargill was spotted during the main event, so that was cool. To me, that foreshadowed something, maybe not soon, but like 3-6 months down the line.
Down the line, for sure.
Where she will be in a match with one of these two, which is interesting for sure.
Yeah, no, super interesting. I like that they showcased Jade Cargill because, I mean, I know what you're about to say. Akara was also watching, but, like, you can expect that. Sorry. But Jade Cargill, that's a good thing to, like, get people accustomed to, like, we want her to be a big deal.
Well, and it's her being featured in a big spot, right? Like, maybe people are tuned into the main event just because they're scrolling through and see the women doing something crazy, and you want to feature your hopefully, potentially biggest female star going
Yeah.
forward. Someone you want to feature in the next 2 to 3 years as the biggest female star. That's a better way to put it. You are right. Hikaru was watching. The funny note of this is she's watching backstage, like on the TV in gear. But when you watch the post-show thing I was talking about earlier on, she was like in her ring gear, running up to Rosa, like, "You did so great." So it's just funny how the post tape comes out. Like it's just funny when you think about it that way. The match was fun though. They stayed true to the match type 100%.
Yep.
Rebel was super useful in this match. She got involved a lot, start to finish, really. They both got blood. Britt was bleeding really, really bad, which was very crazy. At one point, Rebel had was helping wipe the blood off of Britt's face, and Rosa pulls her. And, I wasn't expecting her to be pulled because they were in the process of cleaning up her
wiping it out of her eyes.
The ref was even trying to check on her. It was like something you see in a scary movie when someone just gets pulled.
It was great.
It was amazing. Great. It was a great little shot. So it was very good. Like I said, they stayed true to it. Rosa power bombs Britt Baker into a pile of thumbtacks.
And she really got stung with that too. They were all over her back.
They get the lockjaw going in the thumbtacks, but they're like in front of the thumbtacks. So when Rosa, the genius way to get out of this is Rosa rolls her back into thumbtacks.
Clever.
Even more thumbtacks there. They end up getting on the apron. Rosa does her finish off the apron through a table. It was a crazy moment, and in seconds, because the way they landed was almost like Britt was on top of her. But when they switched the camera angle, it doesn't even look like it. So it was perfect for her to get the pin. It looked amazing, like a great finish, dude. It was a freaking amazing match. These two are stars made. I'm glad to talk about it again an hour later because it was amazing.
The psychology was there, the action was there, the athleticism was there, and most of all, the star power feeling was there. It felt like both these women deserved to be in this spot. It was different,
right? Like, it's way different than what you see from women's wrestling, especially in a nationally televised spot. And I saw a lot of people trying to compare this to certain WWE women's matches, and that shit is ridiculous. I mean, like, why are you trying to compare or degrade other matches from other women in other promotions when that's not the point? Like, this match was great. That's the only point you really need to get across, is that this match was amazing. There's no other discussion to have. And for some people, this match would be the shits because you just don't like thumbtacks, or you just don't like blood, or and to those people, I'm like, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Sorry
it's
you don't like
unfortunate.
wrestling, dude.
It's unfortunate. Well, and to an extent, like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's how some fans are. They don't love that far of aggression. So you cannot blame them. But it's not really a big issue to me. That's why I thought the match was amazing. I thought it was great, and that's why it felt groundbreaking, because you're seeing this between two women, which you're not accustomed to seeing, and two very beautiful women. And Britt Baker, just kind of your American natural, like blonde hair, blue eyes, freaking dentist, like all of these different attributes to a like the dentist part is what really takes it over the edge. You know what I mean?
She's a dentist.
She's a fucking dentist out there getting thumbtacks stabbed into her back. So it's not something you would ever anticipated at all going into it, and so when you saw it, it was just awe-inspiring.
It was mind-blowing.
Everything was great about it. There weren't really missed spots or anything I can even think of that I was like, oh, that was fucked up, or they missed that spot, or something got screwed up.
It was perfect as far as I can remember.
The one thing I'll think about is I saw the blade spot coming when she bladed. I seen it because they were setting up for that kind of for a long time. Like, I think it was supposed to be more apparent earlier on, and it didn't happen that way. Not even a complaint, though, because she did such a crazy job that it was fucking nuts. So, yeah, they over-delivered on that match for sure, and the show itself was great. So, I'm very impressed. I was very I was very entertained by this week's Dynamite. The main event killed it, and it sets the tone for women's matches going forward. I almost anticipate a women's title match in the main event slot coming soon. So.
I hope so. I really hope so, because if anything, this proved that is absolutely okay to do. And the rating was good.
Yeah, the rating held steady. It's not like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm totally into this. I hope this is like a call that, like, not only can you have women's matches in the main event, you can have more than one women's match.
Yeah, no kidding. And they will deliver fantastic matches, and they have the roster to do it. So I was very entertained by this week's Dynamite. I think they did a great job. We covered all the news, all of the amazing stuff we had to cover from Dynamite, especially that amazing main event. I'm excited to see what they do next. We will cover next week's card on Tuesday, as always, and give our thoughts on that and any updates on the news. But before we get to it, AJ, let them know where they can find you.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AJTheFitzy.
Yes, sir. And you can find me on Twitter at TooSweetElite. I still got to update on the YouTube stream. And Andrew Kazir on Instagram. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/AllElitePod. We are on Instagram at AllEliteEverything. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/AllElitePodcast. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you're watching us there, brother. And we're on Twitter at AllElitePodcast. Thank you guys for tuning in with us as you do every week. We appreciate you. Zevo, I got your figure sent out, my good brother. I'm going to have that tracking number sent to you by the end of the night. So that's very exciting. We will be doing another figure giveaway. Let's just say it after next week's Dynamite. So next Thursday we're going to do another figure giveaway with the streams that we're doing. So we'll update you on the information on that on Tuesday.
Oh, and also we'll be doing a stream on Twitch later tonight at twitch.tv/AllElitePod.
Yeah, we're going to be playing some games and shit, man. So join us over there as well. We appreciate everybody continuing to support. Check out the podcast, all of that fun stuff. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
All I see is marks and carnies, just like